Welcome to the Women in the Arena podcast, a platform dedicated to honoring America's women veterans who dare greatly in all aspects of life. I'm your host, Sarah Scully. At Women in the Arena, we harness the power of storytelling to illuminate the human experience. Through authentic narratives, we honor the resilience, authenticity, and leadership of women who have served our country. Our name, Women in the Arena, pays homage to Theodore Roosevelt's legendary speech, The Man in the Arena, recognizing the remarkable contributions of women in traditionally male-dominated domains. Welcome to the Women in the Arena podcast. I cannot believe we have made it to our final episode of Season 1. Thank you for listening along on this journey as we amplify the stories and contributions of women veterans. In this episode, we have the distinct pleasure of featuring Mahnaz Akbari, a trailblazing leader and former commander of the Afghan National Army's female tactical platoon. During her military service, Mahnaz supported hundreds of missions alongside United States Special Operations Forces. Since evacuating Afghanistan in 2021, Mahnaz now resides near Washington, D.C., where she continues her advocacy for Afghan women's rights and holds a leadership role at Sisters of Service, a nonprofit organization supporting Afghan women veterans during resettlement. At this time, the women of Afghanistan have been stripped of their rights to speak publicly, learn, work, and live independent lives. We continue our work to amplify the voices of these women and women globally because we are committed to the advancement of women's rights and the empowerment of women everywhere. This episode is a tribute to our sisters in arms from foreign militaries, celebrating the cross-cultural bonds that unite us. Mahnaz, welcome to the Woman in the Arena podcast. I'm so stoked that you're here. You are the first of our bonus episodes where we will interview women veterans from other militaries across the world. And when I thought of this idea with the team, I thought of you immediately for your leadership and just who you are as a woman. So we're so thankful that you're here and that we were able to make this work.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah. So tell us about yourself. Tell us about your childhood and the beginning of your journey.
Yeah. I was born in Iran and I grew up there and I finished my high school and school there. And I think it was 25 or 26 years that I came back to my country, Afghanistan.
What made your family come back?
We have a lot of problems in Iran. So, like Afghans in general, they were facing with a lot of problem in Afghanistan. For example, if you go to you wanted to go to university or a school, you need to pay a lot of money. And I was born in Iran, but I was considered as an Afghan because my parents were from Afghanistan. Like Eastern countries and Western countries, they have different law of immigration. So in Iran and Afghanistan and some other countries in that area, it's according to the blood, not the place that they are born. So I was considered as an Afghan, and so we were facing a lot of problems. So in 2010 or 11, we decided to come back to our country, Afghanistan.
Had you been there before when you came back? Was it your first time?
No, it was my first time.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a crazy feeling to go home, but you haven't been there before, but it was home. What was your experience like living in Iran as a refugee, and how did that shape your life and everything that would follow in it?
I think it's a complex experience because while my country, Afghanistan and Iran, we share a common history, we share a common language, even religious, that's supposed to promote our unity, but it was different because we were, as I told you, we were facing with a lot of problem. We were restricted to pay off job, and we had to pay a lot of money for going to school and a lot of other problems that we were facing in Iran. And I think those kind of experience caused that I be what I was in Afghanistan as a soldier. And what I'm here in the United States, I try to advocate for Afghan refugees and other immigrants. And also, I'm a big advocate for the Afghan Adjustment Act. And I think this kind of stuff shaped me to what I am and what I was in Afghanistan.
What do you love most about Afghanistan and Afghanistan's culture?
It's a good question. I think everything. Uh, mm, uh, like about the people, like people in Afghanistan, they are known by their resilience, their patience, despite the challenges that they are facing, and about their hospitality, about their generosity, about the culture, the rich history that we have over thousands of years, and about the art, craft, and everything that we have. But I think what I love, my love comes from about the connection, the personal connection that I have to Afghanistan, to people, to the land, that they are part of my identity. It's my country, and I think it has a special place in my heart.
And the food's great.
Yeah.
if our listeners don't know, Afghan food is amazing. So if you have a local Afghan restaurant in your city, be sure to check it out. So tell us what inspired you to join the Afghan army, because I would venture to say that many of our listeners may not even know that women have served in the Afghan army. So tell us what inspired you to do that, to do something so different, and what that journey was like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the situation that I had in Iran, like as a refugee, when I was in Iran, because we had a lot of restriction, and always I had a dream and desire to work for government, but because I was an Afghan, I weren't allowed. So I think at first when I came back to my country, a lot of things like my background, living in Iran, a desire of wearing uniform, having weapon, helmet, having training with guys, like this kind of stuff really make me to join to the military. And but by passing the time when I joined to the military, and I saw a lot of things, the situation of my country. When I went to the mission, I saw the situation of women in Afghanistan. I saw the situation of people in Afghanistan, like different provinces. You were in Afghanistan. I'm pretty sure that you were in those kind of missions. And also the situation that my ethnicity had in Afghanistan. Like I'm from Hazaras ethnicities, and it's over 100 years that we are under genocide and persecution, and we were killed in a school, in mosques, and everywhere. So like this kind of stuff made me to stay in army more to serve my country.
And your generation has lived through just various challenges in Afghan history, from the Soviet occupation to the rise of the Taliban, the fight against the Taliban's insurgency, and then the eventual takeover of the Afghan government. What is it like fighting for a cause or believing in something, and how has that dictated your journey as a soldier?
I think in general, the situation of all people in Afghanistan like caused them to fight for their country. And I just wanted to talk about the women in Afghanistan. Like during 20 years of U.S. and foreign forces occupation in Afghanistan, we learned a lot of things. Women in Afghanistan, we had the opportunity to go to a school. We had women that were lawyers. We had women that, like me, they were soldiers. We had teachers, women, and everything. And we learned to how to fight for our rights. And after leaving and after withdrawal United States from our country, still women, they are in the street and they fight their rights. And I think all these things are really valuable for me.
I think I would categorize all Afghan women as warriors of the cause.
Yep.
And fighting for what they believe
Definitely.
in. So tell us about what you did in the Afghan army, what your job was, and what that experience was like in the jobs that you did.
I started my job in 2011 as a female tactical platoon member. And, you know, culturally in Afghanistan, in general, our job was doing night raids, night mission with Afghan and American soldiers during the night. So culturally, because they were not allowed to search and asking questions from women and children in the target, so they started hiring women, Afghan women, and they had like American soldiers, American women, American soldiers, and they started to hire Afghan soldiers, women. And so I was one of the first member of female tactical platoon that joined to the female tactical platoon. And it was at 2011, and we start at 2011 and with 10 women, and by passing the time it grew up, and it like something around 35 women at the time. And it was really hard for us because at first time when we joined to military, the men in the military, our male colleague, they didn't believe us, and every time they make joke on us and say that, oh, you're women, if we go to the mission, something happen, if a war happen, we should take care of ourselves, or you guys. And but by passing the time, after 2 years, maybe 3 years, they understand that they can't do this kind of mission without FTP, female tactical platoon. And the funny thing is, when I was chosen as the commander of female tactical platoon, because at first time in 2011, 12, 13, 14, even 15, we didn't have enough women in our platoon. So sometimes we didn't have women to go to the mission. When they called me that, hey, Mahnaz, we need 2 women to go to the mission. And I say that, I'm sorry, we don't have, because, for example, these 2 women are in CAF, these 2 women are in BAF or other station. And so we don't have women to send with you guys to the mission. They say that, no, please find us. We don't want to go to the mission without women. And by passing the time, I think it was 1st of 2014 that I was chosen as the female tactical platoon commander. And my job was anything that was related to FTP. Like I was responsible for their training. I didn't train them, but I was responsible to schedule them and find them and get them teacher from training company and send them to the deployment for their holiday, vacation, day off, and anything, their salary, everything that was related to FTP.
I love the smile that came across your face when you described being made fun of at the start, and then a couple years later, people saying, wait, we need more of you because you're so valuable. What a great feeling.
Yeah.
Wow. And what did you love about being a leader in your job as a commander?
I think one thing that was really, I always remember, it was being with women in Afghanistan, that they are so brave, and I'm really proud of them. And they had a special problem because they were a soldier, they were a mother, they were a sister, they were a household, and they had like a lot of problem. And their problem was different from male soldiers. They had different problems. the life was, I think, easier for them, at least if they were father, but they have somebody in the house to take care of the house. They have a mom, they have a wife or brother or father, or somebody was in the house. But the female tactical platoon, they were everywhere, they were a household of the house. And the thing that was really valuable for me, that I was responsible to solve their problem, and I really did my best to solve their problem, despite like they have in the house or they have the problem that they have in the our unit.
I think that any female service member can connect with that idea that we respect one another so much, because oftentimes we're doing so much at once.
Yeah,
Juggling
exactly.
the demands at home, juggling our commitments in the military, and I think it's really beautiful that you highlighted that. What was the reaction like of people in Afghanistan to women serving
Um,
when people did find out about it?
yeah. Most of recently, like from 2011 that I started my job, it was really hard to talk about that. And most of the FTP, they hide what are they doing from their families member, not their families member, like just their parents, their brother and their sister. They didn't know what are they doing, but the other family, like for example, their uncle, their aunt or cousin or neighbor, they hide them. I remember that one of the FTP told to their family member that I'm a teacher in a school. One of them told that I'm a translator. And they say a lot of things that was not their job. And it was really hard. And we have two major problems. One was security, and one was cultural thing that they had to hide from their families member, because they thought that, oh, they didn't think that we are going to the mission, we have weapon, we have helmet, and our job is bringing peace and security in our country. They thought that, okay, we are just going there and we have fun with soldiers, we just doing, I don't know, something else beside the job that we were doing. And so it was really hard.
So for the women that had to live in secrecy, really, with their jobs, I'm sure that brought you all a lot closer, because you had to lean on each other. Because often when work is stressful or we need a support system, we lean on our families. But really, the female tactical platoon was a family.
Yeah.
And you touched on this a little bit already, but the female tactical platoon trained and did missions alongside American service members that were women doing the same job in the cultural support teams. So tell us what that relationship was like for you when you served, working with members of the CSTs, and how it shaped your experience in the Army when you were serving.
Culture support team, a familiar name for all FTP, for all CSC. Their job was the same as our job in Afghanistan, and we they came to Afghanistan for 6 months, and two of them were always in Kabul, and they were advisor for me. And we had like some couple other CSTs in other station, like background or CAF or some other station that FTP were there. And at first they came as a trainer, as advisor, but by passing the time, after a week or 2 weeks, our relationship becomes so closer, and they become as a friend. And we like, because we live in a environment that all of them, they were men, and we had a lot of problem that they couldn't solve their problems. So it was CSCs that every time we talk with them and they try to solve our problem. And I think our relationship starts from a co-worker, then to a friend, and now that we are in Afghanistan, I think they are part of our family. They were the person who that helped us FTP to come here in the United States, and we were facing to a lot of challenges here in the United States. They make an organization for us, Sister of Service. They help us a lot with everything, and I think they just call each other sister, and like a lot of other stuff that really help us. And I can say bravely that they are our sister.
Definitely. Sisters is definitely a good word for it. Mahnaz, do you know how many missions you went on while you were in the Afghan army?
I'm pretty sure it was more than 100.
More than 100?
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Tell us about a particular time that you look back on from your time in the military that just makes you smile or laugh. Something funny or just a good memory that you think back on.
I think when I'm gonna to think about those days, I think if I'm gonna to remember, even if a situation that was really bad make me laugh now, because it was something that now when I'm thinking, I think that it wasn't. I didn't believe. It's really hard for me that I believe that I was someday an AFTP, and I did mission, and I had like a community with other Afghan women. We had a small community, but we were really happy. We love each other. We respect to each other. We have like a little bit problem, but problem is everywhere. But in general, I think all those memories are really fun for me, and I love that.
I love what you said about sometimes the hardest times being the times that we look back on and laugh. And I think that that's a universal experience for anyone that served in the military, where sometimes you can be in the worst situation possible or the most ridiculous situation possible, and you think, wow, this was a terrible day, but it's the day that you sometimes look back on and laugh the most or have the most fond memories. And that's what makes those relationships with the people you were with so much stronger, because you've been through so much together. What are you most proud of after serving and being the commander of the female tactical platoon?
I think it's self-mission. I'm really proud of what I did in Afghanistan as a female tactical platoon member, and going to the mission from the first time that, for example, they call us at, okay, there is a mission, you should be ready. And we try to be ready, get your notebook, your pen, your weapon, helmet, wear uniform, go to the brief and talk on the brief about what are you doing on the mission, and going to the mission with other soldiers, Afghan and American soldiers, thinking about that you're sharing and participating to bringing peace and security in your country. And one thing that was really valuable, and I always think about that, it's how we work together, different ethnicities from other countries, Americans, to create a safer world.
I love that. Yes, the working together cross-culturally is such an incredible thing when you can see it in action. Let's talk about your eventual evacuation of Afghanistan and arriving in the United States. What was that, summer like for you, preparing to leave Afghanistan again and again going to another country as a refugee for a second time?
It was hard. Like, if we talk about the immigration, if we divided it to two sections, there are some people that they had a plan. They make a plan maybe from a year or 2 years before to leave the country, to have better opportunity. And US is a country of opportunity. And come here, but there is some other people like me and other Afghans that came here that we didn't have any plan. We were in our country. We love our job. We loved what we were. We loved being in our country. And but our coming to United States, it happened suddenly. And just in a night, you just understand that you need to leave your country, you need to leave your uniform, you need to leave your job that you really love, especially for me, because I was an immigrant refugee in Iran for 20 years. And I was seeking to come back to my country and find my identity in your country. And when you find what should you be in future, what you want, and you just lose everything in a night. And it was disgusting, it was frustration for me and for all FDP, for all Afghan. And the evacuation was really hard for us. There were a lot of people here from old, young, children, the women that were pregnant, 2 or 3 of FDP, or FDP were pregnant during the evacuation when they wanted to come here in the United States. And you thought that everybody wants to run away from the country. Why? What was the reason? The reason was Taliban, because they didn't want to. They had experience of living under the Taliban government. They did know that Taliban won't let the women go to the school. They did know that Taliban will have a lot of restriction on the people. They will ban all freedom, democracy, everything that people really try hard to gain it during the 20 years. And it was a really bad situation. But I'm happy that I'm here. I'm gonna to use the opportunity that I have here in the United States to somehow help my people back in Afghanistan.
And you've definitely continued to do that. I've seen you lead in such remarkable ways over here. Your leadership knows no boundaries of countries. You continue to fight for what's right, no matter where you are. So during the evacuation of Afghanistan and the eventual arrival in the United States, the Female Tactical Platoon and the Cultural Support Team Network banded together to build a really remarkable organization that's kept everybody in communication and allowed for some really great support systems to be established here, because your group of women, the Female Tactical Platoon, you were scattered all over the country. I mean, I know that one member is in Alaska, here in the DC area. What has it been like to be in a new country but still have that sisterhood that you built through the Female Tactical Platoon and with members of the cultural support teams?
It's living here in the United States for me and my other colleague, Female Tactical Platoon. At first that we came here, it was a little bit hard because of the challenges that we had. A lot of FTPs, especially myself, I was suffering from mental health, because as I say that I lost everything that I had in my country, that I built it during 10 years of my serving in Afghanistan. But by passing the time, it getting better and get better, and a lot of FTPs had the same situation that I had. But the good point is, with the help of Sister of Service, CSTs, our sisters, our colleagues, our previous trainer, they help us to to integrate in society. And a lot of FTPs, they want to join to military. They want to be nurse. And we have already two FTP that they are in the school. One of them study cyber security. One of them study medical assistance. And I think some will soon join to school to study cybersecurity, and a lot of them want to join to the military. And I think Sister of Service have a program that help to FTPs to join to military. Maybe next year we have 7 or 8 FTP that are joining to the military. And yeah, I think that we are good and we will make our future here.
I know that you will. What was it like seeing one of your American friends from the cultural support teams for the first time when you were here? Where was that?
It was in airport, Dallas airport, and I saw Rebecca Edmondson with one of our interpreter in Afghanistan. So it was my first time that I saw her in 7 So I saw her from away and said that, okay, is she Rebecca? Because we were connecting on the chat, and she said that I'm going to come and see you in the airport. So I was thinking, and when I just become near, and when I saw Rebecca from near, that, oh my God, Rebecca. So I just hugged her, and that interpreter, Mina, her name is Mina. So I hugged her also, and it was really a good time. And I feel that I have someone here in the United States that's really care about me and my other colleagues.
Absolutely. So you talked about Sisters of Service a little bit. And for those that don't know, Sisters of Service is a nonprofit organization that was stood up during the withdrawal of Afghanistan to assist in resettlement, and has now kind of transitioned into a function of mentorship and empowerment, because now we're at a point where members of the Female Tactical Platoon and other Afghan refugees are able to work and chase some dreams that they have now in this new chapter in the United States. And you, Mahnaz, have served as a true mentor, a liaison sort of helping to support these women in the various locations that they're in and the different situations that they're in. Do you have a memory that you're most proud of a moment that you've seen born out of that? So maybe something that one of your the members of your platoon has done or accomplished since they've been here, or something that you've done that's made you proud or given you hope?
Here in the United States, I think most of my colleagues, female tactical platoon, they are doing really good. And as I told you, two of them are already in college, and she is studying cybersecurity. One of them is studying medical assistant, and I myself, the thing that I'm really proud that I did a lot of advocacy thing for FTPs and Afghan refugee here, like regarding the Afghan Adjustment Act, and I did a lot of advocacy thing for FTPs, so we can find a way that they achieve their goals sooner.
So I know a little bit about that advocacy work, but could you tell our listeners what that's looked like and tell them about going to Capitol Hill and speaking to leaders of the United States about the Afghan Adjustment Act?
Yeah, Afghan Adjustment Act is a bill that if it got passed from Congress, Afghans, refugee, they will be eligible for getting green card, and it's really good. But if it doesn't pass, they need to apply for asylum, and it's really complicated. So it takes a long time. They need to have, at first they need to find a pro bono lawyer, a free lawyer, and then they apply for that, and then they had to wait for maybe a year and maybe 2 years to understand what is the answer of the asylum. When they get their asylum, they need to wait more than a year to get their green card. It's a long and complicated process, and you need to prove that you are not in danger if you are in danger if you go to Afghanistan. So it's a complicated process. So that's why we are advocating for the Afghan Adjustment Act to get passed from Congress. So all Afghans become eligible for green card. And so other than we do a lot of advocacy thing, not just in Capitol Hill, for like other events, or we hold a lot of events. We go to for panels, like a lot of places to advocate for the FDP to find some opportunity for like better job, going to the military and some other stuff, that so they can have a better future.
What does it feel like to advocate on behalf of your country? Because you're not just speaking for the women that you served with, you're speaking for a large group of people. Mm-hmm. What does that feel like? I don't think many people can say that they've done that.
I think for me, just because I was a soldier in Afghanistan and I served my country, I served my people, and it was something in my mind that I need to help my people back in Afghanistan somehow, and I think it was a small step to start with that, and so.
Yeah, it's gotta feel very empowering and important. And I applaud you for working to build a life here, but also working to advocate on behalf of the many people that are here that are readjusting. Mahnaz, what's in store for you? What are your hopes and dreams now that you're here in America? What's next for you?
It's a good question. I think I'm really looking for a way to come back to my country, Afghanistan. I don't know how, but two ways in my mind. One is working with international organizations, like, for example, Red Cross, UN, I don't know, some international organization that they send people to Afghanistan. And another one is launching an organization that help people in Afghanistan. So through that organization, I go to Afghanistan. So I think I'm trying to do one of these things.
Amazing. Well, Mahnaz, I think when I think about the women in the arena and the title of this podcast, which I know we talked about for a while, I can't think of many other better examples than you of being a woman in the arena and fighting for what's right, constantly moving forward no matter what life throws your way, and just always being a champion of the cause and a true warrior on and off the battlefield and everything that you're doing. So I'm curious, who is your woman in the arena? Who do you look up to? And who is a woman that has inspired you to be you and be all that it means to be Mahnaz?
I think just women in Afghanistan. I cannot name, because women of Afghanistan, all of them, they are brave, they are resilient, they are courageous, and despite of challenges that they are facing, they are still in the street. They fight for their rights, and despite of world community don't have attention to them, but they don't stop it. They just go to the street. They know Taliban will capture. They know Taliban will torture them. They know Taliban will kill them or rape on them. But they go to the street and fight their rights. I think women in Afghanistan are my women in the arena.
I really respect that answer, and I respect the fact that, especially having served with and lived alongside these brave women, you probably have a very long list of women that you look up to. Well, I want you to know that you're our woman in the arena, and we really thank you for sharing your experiences, especially the challenging ones, and showing just the beautiful bonds that we can create cross-culturally in our military service. And I'm so thankful to have you as a friend and to learn from you and grow alongside you in all these chapters that we endure. We have a small gift for you, a token of appreciation for coming on today. It's a bracelet with a quote from the podcast title to encourage you with everything that you continue to accomplish and endure, that you are a warrior, you're a woman in the arena, and you always have a network of women that are cheering you on. So thank you, Mahnaz. We are just in awe of your strength and your bravery, and we're so happy that we could have you on to share your story.
Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here. Thank you.
The Women in the Arena podcast is powered by Iron Butterfly Media, a production company committed to honoring the lives of women who have had an unseen and outsized impact on our world. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have a woman who you would like to nominate as a guest, please shoot us a message on our social media platforms. Be sure to subscribe and follow on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. See you next time.